Shout out to YouTube. We've got to do an intro for YouTube, guys. We've got another elite specialization to talk about. Daily slop continues. To be honest, we haven't got a lot to go on with this one. Some wild speculation is going to be required to figure this one out. I have a couple of theories on this one. The first thing I thought it was actually Ritualist. Because you guys know me in the last couple of videos, I've been talking about how I'm a little bit, we're going nostalgia mode, we're going Guild Wars 1 mode on some of these elite specs. It looks a little bit like the Ritualist icon, kind of. I'm thinking we were going to get a Ritualist Revenant, and I think this could maybe go in that direction. But it's honestly really hard to say exactly what this is going to be. Because I was thinking, the other thought I had was double element Elementalist, and this could actually be Elementalist, because look, we all know this. Ellie mains, they find their class too hard. They do. They do. It's not controversial. It's not controversial. They do. Reducing the number of buttons from 4 elements to 2 is going to help those guys out. They're going to be loving it. They're going to be combining fire and water. They can be a mud wizard. They can be water and earth mud wizard. You could be air and water drizzle wizard, right? All that kind of stuff. Mud wizard, there's a lot of stuff going on there you can go for. The way that I think that would work, by the way, is it would be like Rev. You can pick 2 elements and you get like special bonuses depending on which 2 you pick for your main elements that you specialize in. Maybe you then have, because look, it could almost be like a third thing that you have going on there, right? Like, maybe you're the arcane wizard and you have 2 elements orbiting around you. Against that theory is that Ellie already has this kind of orb-themed spec, right? With Catalyst, because you have the Jade Sphere, and you have the orbs on the hammer and stuff like that. So there'd be a little bit of kind of like thematic RP overlap there. And that's why I'm thinking, this kind of spiritual ritualist style character. So that could be the Revenant, right, was what I was thinking there as well. The other theory that people in chat said, and I thought this was rather interesting, is it could be this kind of deeply technological engineer as well. The reason why some people are thinking Engie is because we've already had the light class of Mesmer, almost certainly Bard Mesmer, right? And then I think Warrior, heavy, they're definitely a heavy class second, right? So this could be like, oh, they're going to do like a light, then a heavy, then a medium. So there's like a little bit of tinfoil hat stuff going on there, I suppose. But, who knows? Yeah, it looks a bit like an atom. So it could be this kind of Jade tech, but not Jade tech, obviously, but, that kind of thing, right? The kind of like steampunk kind of thing going on there. Some like wacky technological stuff there for the engineer as well. It doesn't look like Thief to me. Doesn't look like Ranger. Don't think it's Guardian either. That would be very weird. It could be Necro. Like, it does have a little bit of that Necro look around it. But the thing is, to me, the icon looks a bit too similar to Scourge, right? Scourge kind of has that circular design with like 3 pieces basically, and it almost has like a similar shape to an extent. So my best guess on this is going to be Ellie, Engie, or Rev. I think I'd lean towards the Revenant with some kind of Ritualist, but it also very well could be a dual element Elementalist, which is something I am expecting. I am expecting basically a version of Elementalist with less buttons, right? That's definitely something that I'm expecting this time around, because I think that is actually something that's been requested a fair bit, right? From many players who kind of like the theme, like the mage theme, and would kind of want to have that expressed within the Guild Wars 2 context. It's funny, actually. This goes back to that leaked Discord conversation where a balance dev at the time said, yeah, I really want to make an elite spec where Ellie, I really want to make Ellie only have like 2 elements or something, right? To reduce the number of buttons. Look, we're going there, guys. We're bringing that content to the table. We absolutely love to see that. Very, very cool indeed. And, seeing as, we don't have a lot to speculate on this, there was something that I also thought we could discuss in this daily slop video, and that could be like, what are the design goals going to be for these elite specializations? Because obviously the goal is going to be to introduce new playstyles, but I also think that they will try to make them fit into the meta as well. So in other words, I think it's very likely that they're going to try to make these work in all 3 game modes, and also they're going to try to make them fit into the meta system of the game. Like, one thing that we've seen ArenaNet really change on over the last, I would say the last 5 years or so, especially when CMC and Trig took over, is that they started actually looking at how players play the game and like designing around that, for better or for worse. Like a really good example of this is Scourge. Scourge has been molded from a niche, extremely powerful build to more of a streamlined build that fits into the game better. And that really improves the playability. Now, the downside is that it's definitely lost some flavor there, and they'll obviously want to, starting from scratch, they can kind of do both. Like, the reason why Scourge lost its flavor is because old Guild Wars 2 Elite specs were never really designed with how the game actually plays out in mind. They were like, oh, that's kind of cool, let's add that to the game. Oh, that's kind of interesting, let's add that to the game. That's how you end up with Warrior having basically 3 DPS Elite specs. It's why you have Thief having some real wonky stuff with Deadeye, right? And all this kind of like crazy stuff that they add to the game that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense within the context of how the game is actually played. But with these elite specs under the guidance of CMC and Trig, I think they could be really interesting because they have this ability to say, okay, we're going to make something really, really cool, but we're going to make the gameplay actually make sense within the context of how the game is played. So understanding the PvE meta, how boons work, how healing works, how DPS works, how quickness DPS works, how lack DPS works. In PvP, not putting something like Scourge in the game that ruins the game mode, not adding Mirage to the game that ruins the game mode. So that's kind of cool to me. I mean, look, maybe that's a little bit of copium. Maybe I'm coping. Maybe I've put my faith, my faith in CMC and Trig being unchained a little bit too much. But that's something that I really hope we see here. I want to see elite specializations that are well designed and fit into the way the game is played without like damaging it or disrupting it in extremely negative ways. Because that's ultimately been the story, especially in competitive game modes, of a lot of elite specializations being introduced into the game. I do believe it is possible to have excellent RP and really interesting class design, and it also makes sense in balance-wise. A lot of pushback against like certain balance decisions have been because there has been this like somewhat kind of like streamlining or homogenization of classes. And the reason that has happened, I talked about this a little bit, we're kind of repeating ourselves here, but I really want to hammer this point home. The reason they did that is because the elite specializations in Guild Wars 2, they were like fundamentally broken, to be honest. Like, and outside of like completely reworking them from the ground up, they just had to be kind of like squished down a little bit and streamlined to make them actually make sense within the context of the game. Now, you can disagree with that and say they shouldn't have done that, and that's fine, by the way. If you disagree, that's totally okay. But I'm explaining why that happened, like why they took this approach. Is because it was either this or like leave stuff just like impossibly broken or unplayable, right? Like, think how many builds now are playable compared to, even a couple of years ago, right? Yeah, stuff has been streamlined down a bit more, but now you can play basically anything. You can play Heal Berserker if you want to, right? Like, hell, even Heal Harbinger is actually a build that is playable now, thanks to the transfusion change on Necromancer this patch. Like, this was a joke build for, since release, essentially. But now with this, it kind of actually exists now, and there's like, pretty much every build you can come up with at least makes some kind of vague sense, and is going to be playable in like 95% of content, like 98% of content even. And that is the strength of this approach. But all of that has been on the back foot. It's important to notice that. Like, all of that is on the back foot. That's when they had to basically wrangle pre-existing design that they didn't make. And that wasn't really done with game balance or gameplay in mind. Now they have the opportunity to do both, which I think is actually pretty exciting. But anyway, I think that's what you're getting today. Okay? That's what you're getting. Not sure if we're going to get another reveal tomorrow, because of course it is July 4th. So that is obviously a holiday in the US, but it might be. Okay? I will be here no matter what, and we will discuss it if it happens. If it doesn't happen, I'm going to release a video saying the game's dead. Because if there's no content for me to create daily slop from, the game is dead and completely unplayable. But anyway, what do you guys think about this? What do you think it is? Do you think it's Rev, Ritualist? Do you think it's Ellie, Mud Wizard? Do we think it's Engineer, Atom Lord? I don't know. Do you think it's something else entirely? Look, the goofiest goddamn theory. Okay, I have to call people out for this. I have to go there because people said this unironically. People said, "Oh, Look at these arms. It looks like 2 war horns. You play 2 war horns and like toot them. I'm like, bro, are you serious? Are we serious with this stuff? This is trolling. This is ridiculous. It's not that. Okay, maybe it is. It would be really funny. It'd be really funny if it was, to be honest. But anyway, we will see. We certainly will. But anyway, leave your comments. Like the video. Subscribe for more slop. Okay, get your referral links ready. Buy the game using my referral link now. Buy some alts and then buy the expansion when it's pre-orderable on the 15th with all of those alts. But until next time, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for your daily dose of Guild Wars 2 Elite Specialization news. Very exciting. All right, I'll see you then. I'm out.